Hello, my paper peeps. Today I want to share with you how fun scrapbooking can be and some creative ways to preserve your memories and create something beautiful at the same time. If you want to make your scrapbooks look more elegant, there are a few things you can do to achieve that effect. Today I want to share how I set up my scrapbook journals using what I call the Scrapbook Formula for Elegance. So let's get started. First, you want to choose a journal that speaks to you, one that is aesthetically pleasing to your eye and will be something you will love to look at, craft, and journal in for the next few months. It's not necessary to choose high-quality materials like acid-free paper or archival quality ink, especially if you're into that vintage vibe. I would just let it age naturally. Today I will be sharing with you my scrapbook journal formula for creating a scrapbook journal that is elegant and will inspire you to create and catalog your memories and thoughts on a regular basis. Now, I talk about a formula because I have found that if I want to create a scrapbook journal that has a cohesive look, I need to be intentional. I also love to craft and create other projects throughout the year, so I have to make sure I'm going to finish what I start because I always have my hand in other projects throughout the year. Now, if I don't have a plan, I have a tendency to abandon the project or completely forget about it. So having a clear-cut idea of what I want to do with it at the beginning usually sets me up for success. I'll ask myself, is this journal specifically for a holiday season? Or am I cataloging a getaway or a trip? Is this for note-taking during a book club that I might be in? Or is it just for my daily thoughts? My crafting community and I are currently in the Java journals, which are bound in this DIY binding system that allows you to add and subtract pages throughout your journey. But some journals like this don't come with matching ephemera or labels or frames or even greeting cards and postcards like you might see in some of my other paper lines. So you're left with using your own imagination to create scrapbook journal pages. And that's okay. So here's how you can conquer that creative block if you find yourself in a rut, or just want guidance on how to craft something that you will craft in and enjoy throughout a particular time in the year. The next thing you want to do is collect stamps that match the aesthetic of the journal. In this journal, I have some blank pages that I want to add my own creative flair to. So I will choose stamps that complement the paper line. Just to let you know, everything I use here I will put in the description box below if you're interested in joining us in this creative journey. The third step is I choose 1 to 3 matching stencils. Then I choose inks that pair well with the journal aesthetic. And when it comes to inks, I don't go crazy. To create a more cohesive and sophisticated look, I usually only consider using a monochromatic color scheme or a limited color palette. And then I add texture and dimension to the pages with subtle embellishments. And then the last thing that I do is I choose 1 to 3 types of 3-dimensional effects I want to finish off each page with. When I create a journal like this, I usually design 4 to 5 base pages that will be repeated throughout the journal. Once I've played around on scrap pieces of paper and like the designs, I start creating and repeating these designs within the journal. As you can see, I just used old Daytimer pages from last year's agenda to play with all my supplies and hammer down the look I really want to achieve. And because this is for journaling as well as laying down photos, I use this corner embellishing technique to set up all my pages. You don't have to do this with all the pages. For example, in my Essence of Fall journal, the focal point is actually in the middle of the page here, which is a beautiful way of showcasing photos or inspirational quotes you might like. But here, I'm just going to show you how I lay down all the stamps and stencils and mix media to complement this journal using just the corner embellishing technique. Firstly, I usually like to prepare the corner by blending in a soft hue of color. This acts as a backdrop and foundation to all the layered elements I want to add. I'll be using the Tim Holtz Walnut Stain to prep all my pages. And I like using these soft blending brushes for this technique because it delivers a softer hue than the Tim Holtz foam blenders. Now, I still use the foam blenders, so I wouldn't remove them from your craft table just yet, because the next step is to layer a stencil on the background, and this is where I use the foam blenders. They lay down a more saturated color, and here I'm still using the Walnut Stain. So you can see the difference between the foam blenders and the blending brushes. I always follow up the stenciling with stamps. I try to make sure majority of the time there's some text deposited somewhere in the area, but it's not always necessary. Lastly, I always add at least one three-dimensional effect to make the area pop. In this example, I am using washi tape. Now, if I'm doing this within a blank journal, I like the corner embellishing to match. In this journal, because the pages are layered, I won't necessarily get these pages to book match. The great thing, however, is that because the scrapbook journal has one specific theme, it doesn't really matter how these pages line up. But with that being said, you can always craft these inserts so that they do match. And that's why I love this DIY journal technique. And if you're interested in how to create that, I'm going to put a link to that at the end of this video. The next page follows the same formula: a background hue using the soft blending brushes, stenciling, followed by stamping, and one three-dimensional element. The tip I want to add is that when using stamps, I highly recommend using Versafine ink. From my experience, I've found them to be the best for showing fine details from your stamps. Now, just a question for all my crafting community out there. If there's a stamp pad that you think trumps the Versafine for detailing, could you put that in the description box below? Because we would all love to know what we should be all buying and trying out there. You know what? Help us out. Let us know what works and what doesn't work. And the last thing I do is add a three-dimensional element. I really love Tim Holtz's Embossing Glaze. And the reason why I love this glaze is that it's actually transparent. So any text or any images that you want to showcase or you don't want to cover up, glaze is by far the best. It's, like I said, it's transparent, it's not opaque. It does have this glossy effect that I have come to love and add to a lot of my scrapbook journals. Here is another layout I think you might like. So far, if you are receiving value from this content, could you do me a favor and stamp that like button so it could spread to the rest of our crafting community? I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. You can see that when I lay down all these elements, I'm always trying to draw the eye inwards towards a focal point, and that can really be anything. Here it could be the stamped image where it is accented with your Nouveau crystal drops to give it that three-dimensional flair. Another situation and another layout could be the text or some kind of inspirational quote that you want to highlight. The focal point can be really anything. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Christine, and I love creating DIY scrapbook journals, as well as cards and tags and tabs, all these elements that go along with these scrapbook journals. The thing is that I'll start off with a base just like this, and throughout the journey, I will add things. So if you end up journeying with us and downloading this paper line, just to let you know, I'm not done. I'm always adding something, and you'll notice in the ephemera, you'll be wondering what those circles are. I have a plan for those. So keep an eye out for the next few videos that will be following this one, because I'm not done. I'm always adding tags, tabs, cards, because when I journal, I love to just add and layer and layer and layer and layer. So if it's not layering, it's me writing a word of encouragement to a friend. And so that's why I like to always add some kind of postcard or card to my paper lines. And FYI, if you decide to join us on this journey and I add something to the paper line along the way, I always email it to you for free. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want more tips and tricks on how to jazz up your scrapbook journals, you'll probably want to watch this video here. And if you want to join us in that journey of how to DIY scrapbook journal, then here is the link to how to create this easy DIY binding system. So take care. I hope you have a fantastic week, and we will see you in my other videos. Bye.